We're living in a time of global upheaval and crisis, with climate change threatening species across the planet. Wild mammals have declined by 85% since the rise of humans as a dominant species on the planet. While livestock makes up 62% of the world's mammal biomass, humans account for 34%, and wild mammals are just 4%. The root of this crisis? Human short-sightedness. The solution? Native carnivores like wolves, bears, coyotes, bobcats, foxes, and mountain lions. These animals play a critical role in maintaining healthy, biologically diverse, and resilient ecosystems that in turn benefit us all. We humans have a long, violent history persecuting the other large predators with whom we share our planet. Here in North America, negative perceptions and misinformation about wolves, cougars, coyotes, and bears have led to cruelty, mismanagement, and extermination campaigns attempting to eradicate these species. This widespread killing has drained the lifeblood of North American ecosystems. Over the last several decades, thanks to scientists and the acknowledgement of traditional ecological knowledge, we now recognize the essential roles that carnivores play in nearly every aspect of ecosystems. Through a phenomenon called trophic cascades, large carnivores play a critical role in regulating the ecological community, with many plants and animals depending on carnivores' important role in the food web. This is called top-down regulation. Top-down means that species occupying the highest trophic level, large carnivores, exert a regulating influence on species at the next lower level, their prey, and so on throughout the food chain.
All of these animals, the community of predators that we have, help to keep forests healthy. And when predators are present, forests are healthy. When they're removed, forests are not. And so there are areas of New Hampshire where coyotes are heavily hunted in the hopes of keeping the deer population happy. And we're so overrun with deer. Here in the Northeast, deer's preferred source of food are hardwood saplings. So the regeneration of forests is slowed down incredibly, and in some places has been stopped altogether. So that's just one example of how predators keep things healthy.
Carnivores are key allies in suburban and urban environments. Allowing predators to do their work means fewer rats and mice in human areas, healthier bird populations, and stability in wild populations of deer, gophers, and other prey species. Farmers, ranchers, and subsistence hunters ultimately benefit from the resulting healthy prey populations and soils, as well as abundant pollinators and fewer animals that eat their crops, like rodents.
When wolves were absent from Yellowstone National Park, the flora and fauna changed dramatically over a period of a few decades. One of the things that happened was that there was a population explosion of certain kinds of herbivores, including elk. They overbrowsed and overgrazed many of the habitats, so some of the species of plants virtually disappeared or were mowed down so far every year that they couldn't ever reach maturity. They were stunted. For example, the aspen trees in Yellowstone and other parts of the West tended to only grow up to about this height, about 3 or 4 feet. And people wondered, why they seem to be browsed off at 3 or 4 feet. In the summer, they would continue growing, but then in the winter, they'd shrink again down to about 4 feet. And the reason was that the elk, in many cases, were browsing them down to the snow line. The snow came up this high, and the elk didn't like digging in the snow and eating any further down on the plants. But that meant that this important tree in the system, the aspen, wasn't ever maturing. And many of the services provided by aspens, such as the holes in their trunks where birds nest, were not available. The same thing applies to willows. Willows were, when they're overbrowsed, breeding habitat for many kinds of songbirds and cover for many kinds of animals is gone. Water temperatures heat up in streams because there's not enough shade produced by the willows. So species that we don't even think about as having an important ecological function often do. And when we remove them, we end up simplifying the ecosystem, reducing its interest, its diversity, and its beauty.
Wolves contribute top-down help in ecosystems by regulating the age, health, and foraging competition of grazing animals, which increases plant diversity and biomass. Bears contribute to nutrient cycling of salmon and carrion, indirectly help with seed dispersal over large areas, and assist with soil aeration when digging for roots and rodents. Mountain lions help control medium-sized predator populations, which in turn increases songbird survival. And coyotes help reduce populations of rats, mice, and other small mammals that can affect farmers' livelihoods, invade human homes, and spread rodent and tick-borne diseases. Meanwhile, the killing of large carnivores results in overabundant herbivore populations, such as deer, rats, and groundhogs, which in turn alter plant species, changing and degrading ecosystems over time.
What we know through science is that when we remove predators from an ecosystem, it results in simplification. What that means is basically a loss of biodiversity and a loss of fully intact, healthy ecosystem functioning. So when I look at the implications of a loss of predators across the landscape, be it in the US or other places across the globe, it's a scary reality, because loss of biodiversity right now is one of the biggest ecological crises that we face. We also know that trophy hunting of predators is one of the greatest losses for large wild carnivores in the US and across the globe. So I think we have underestimated what the ramifications and implications of predator loss means to fully intact and healthy functioning ecosystems. My hope is that with that knowledge, with that scientific research, we will start to change our laws and our policies and really start to value these animals as they should be valued.
The integrity of ecosystems worldwide is dependent on the presence of large carnivores to regulate and improve their function. In this time of rapid species decline, it's essential that we embrace the benefit of carnivore species and work to ensure that these animals survive and thrive, to guide us into a more compassionate, sustainable, and resilient future.